Bring in General Anthony Tata, retired brigadier, general and author of the new book, Besieged. General, good to have you with us this morning.
Great to be with you, Abby.
All right,
Thank you.
You just heard that timeline from Griff Jenkins. I mean, it really is pretty incredible when you think about how many times Syria has gotten away with using chemical weapons without us responding in any way. What do you make of these airstrikes?
Well, the most jarring thing to me, Abby, is that President Obama saw similar pictures in 2013 and did nothing about it. And he passed it off to Secretary Kerry, who then worked with the Russians, who are completely unreliable in every sense of the word, to handle the chemical weapons in Syria. And then he went and played golf. And so this blood is directly on President Obama's hands because he did nothing about it, and he saw the same pictures that President Trump saw. So now we have decisive action from the Sixth Fleet in the Mediterranean. This is what we call flexible deterrent options. So we can do a show of force, we can do a surgical strike with cruise missiles, and we can do much more than that. And I think, you know, a lot of the discussion is what comes next. Well, I think what comes next is President Trump saying, how do you like me now? And don't do this anymore, or you're going to get more of this. And, you know, we talk about regime change. That's not something I think we want at this moment. I think it's something eventually that politically and diplomatically that we should go after. But right now, what we need to do, we cannot let use of weapons of mass destruction stand anywhere in the world because they're a threat to everybody.
Yeah, you know, you see the images, 28 children killed because of these latest chemical weapons attacks. I mean, it's horrific, and it is so hard to see, and it makes you, in that moment, grateful that President Trump did something to respond this time. How do you think the world will respond to this? Because there are so many factors at play here. The timing is so interesting. I mean, President Trump had dinner last night with President Xi Jinping of China. You've got Iran at play. You've got, obviously, Syria. You've got Russia. How do you see all of this playing out?
Well, you know, it was previously mentioned, the connection between China and North Korea. I think it sends a strong message to North Korea that this is a president, President Trump, will take action if the vital interests of the United States are threatened. And that's what America First is all about. It's a realist foreign policy that says, I'm going to take care of my people and my country first and foremost. And the threat of weapons of mass destruction is one of those things that you cannot let stand. And the fact that President Obama let it stand, everybody who supports President Obama ought to take a real hard look in the mirror today and take a look at those pictures and say, you know, Obama saw those pictures and did nothing. And so today, we've got a president who saw those pictures and did something. And he understands that threat can come to our shores. And, you know, Syria is a failed state, and we got to get in there. But when you look at Iran, they're a puppet of Iran, and they're also a puppet of Russia. And so we've got some unpacking to do. It's three-dimensional chess inside of Syria right now, but it sends a strong signal around the world that we've got a president who's going to do what he says he's going to do.
Something that many people are concerned about, General, is ISIS. What does this mean for ISIS? We were talking to Connor Powell, our correspondent over there on the ground in Syria, and he said we've seen in the past that ISIS has taken advantage of a vacuum when that happens. Will they do that this time around? Is that something we should be concerned about?
Well, you know, I think that the vacuum, Syria, the Syrian government has been tacitly supporting ISIS by buying oil from them, by setting up a mobile carrier service for them, and other economic and support mechanisms. So I think this also helps get at the ISIS problem a little bit, and it sends a strong signal to ISIS that we're not going to play, and that this president is a president who can keep a secret. He's not using military forces for his own public relations image, as President Obama did. He had a great poker face yesterday when asked about it, and he said, yeah, you know, who knows what's going to happen. And so I think ISIS is on notice here. That doesn't mean they're going to stop fighting. They'll probably continue to fight, but what's happened over the last 2 to 3 months has been President Trump has been challenged by North Korea, by Iran, by Russia, and by ISIS, and a soft revolution within our country. And so everybody who's supporting elect the Democratic candidate, Hillary Clinton, and President Obama, they ought to take a hard look in the mirror and say, you know, we got the right guy in here because this world is in trouble right now.
General, just quickly, about 45 seconds left here. What advice do you have for President Trump as this is maybe just beginning? We may see response from Bashar al-Assad, a response from Vladimir Putin. What advice do you have for the president?
I think he's got a kit of flexible deterrent options in there. The whole idea is to deter the use of chemical weapons, and now what he needs is a plan to go in there with a coalition, and coalitions are only as good as the leader of that coalition, and that's why they haven't worked in the past, because we have not been leading. And so President Trump is in a position to lead right now, and I believe he will. I would recommend to him to get a coalition in there to now ferret out all these chemical weapons and to get the UN to dispose of them instead of Russia. And you know, if we need to put our own troops on the ground to do that, then we should. But we cannot let weapons of mass destruction stand.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can wrap their head around that one. General Anthony Tata, thanks for being with us this morning. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Abby.